Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Carol Mhlari, right here on Divine Women Empowerment Inspirational Talk on Global Conference Television. Today, we have an amazing guest in studio, and today we're talking about the importance of innovation. That will lead definitely to entrepreneurship. We will branch even more into leadership. So let me not waste any time to introduce my guest. Oh, yes, he's a male, by the way. So thank you so much, Mr. Nayo. Wow. What must I say?
No, you said it so perfectly. I always say that it's wow with a K.
So we're wowing wow. At the same time.
You are wowing the presence of God's vessel, God's instrument.
He's making me pray in tongues now. Let's go. But honestly, thank you so much for joining us here. And I know the show is going to be very impactful because in today's industry, especially in innovation and entrepreneurship and leadership and all of that, there are many of those that wants to be somewhere in life and make something of themselves. Some don't know where to start. Some don't know who to contact or anything to start with something that they are passionate about. So I thought, let me bring someone that's in this innovation, the discovery of it, the importance of it, that's living the importance of innovation, that's in the entrepreneurial environment, and that's also in the leadership. So I would like you to introduce yourself and tell us more about your brands and what made you get into the innovation section. What's importance about it to you?
Firstly, as you've so succinctly put it, thank you for having me on your show. I think it's a great honor, and I'm happy and I'm excited to be addressing your audiences, because I know the people that take the time to actually watch this or make sure that they follow up on the guests that you're having are people who know what they want, number one, and who have come to a realization that I do not have all the solutions. I need to hear what other people need to share. So I appreciate them so much and their intelligence and their wisdom. So we praise God for that. Number two, I am Neo Kuaho, and born in Soweto, had a rich upbringing. Not rich in the sense of money, but in the sense of growing up in different places or parts of the country.
Awesome.
So I am Mosotho. When I speak, Sesotho ko lapeng. So Basotho, when they come and they introduce themselves, they'll say, and so forth. So that's me.
I think I mix my
However, the first language I ever learned how to speak was Chitsonga. Oh, it's Shanghai.
Abshin.
Minjani. Ay, fukile na, And this was as a result of my paternal grandmother being remarried in the old Gazankulu, that northern part of Limpopo, close to Guyana and so forth. So,
that's where the bloodline runs from. Where I'm from.
Why am I not surprised? So my toddler years, or my baby and toddler years, were spent there, and the first language I learned how to speak was that. And shortly after that, then moved to Soweto, where fitting in was a big challenge, because back in those days there was a lot of segregation amongst black people.
Oh, yes.
There was a Tswana section, there was a Sotho section, there was a Zulu section, and the Tsonga or the Shangaan section was somewhere in Shawelo. And there I was plonked with my maternal grandparents in the middle of Moletsani, almost deep Soweto, kind of, and all the kids speak Soweto. I mean, they speak Sesotho, and then the next township, like the next section, is a Zulu section, an area called Zola. It was notorious at some point, And I had to now adapt in an environment where I couldn't speak Sesotho, and here I was speaking Shangani, and if you were different, you were mocked, and so forth. And that largely explains a lot of my growing up in different parts. At some point, I stayed in Cullinan, where they found the biggest diamond ever in South Africa.
So you've been, you've been touching these areas. So,
but very odd areas.
That's what I'm saying. You've been in these odd areas. I'm listening to you, and I'm like, wow.
So that was an Afrikaner community.
So jy nie toe ons Sudan verstaan moes.
Nou, ek praat 'n bietjie suiwer Afrikaans, is nie?
Ja, nee hoor, jy sê die woord suiwer en is dit duidelik mos nie.
And now I had to adapt to another culture. And now imagining the dynamic of South Africa at that time where, we are coming from a background that is so segregated, separation is the order of the day. And here I am, because of circumstances, I'm finding myself being plonked in places where I don't fit in.
Wow.
And I had to quickly make peace with the fact that I don't fit in. And I had to quickly embrace not fitting in. And I had to appreciate the beauty that came with not always being in familiar territory, meaning that I was getting an opportunity to learn so many diverse aspects of this beautiful country that we have, and years later, today I'm an entrepreneur, I run my own business, and all those relationships that I created, even when I was at Technical in Pretoria, which is where I did my software development qualification. Training as a software engineer, and I was to build systems and so forth. Even in that environment, I was now the one that was looking for environments that I was unfamiliar with. So when all the Sothos were clamoring together, the vendors were clamoring together, the Zulus and the Xhosas, I was bouncing from culture to culture. So I made friends with the guys from Ghana, guys from Rwanda, guys from Congo, guys from Botswana, vendors, Sothos. So I was always I was enjoying being in a mix, a beautiful poeticos, of cultures.
Of cultures, which is a good thing though, because not many get that opportunity to get in that diverse section, and if we have to move a little bit back from your growing up, little did you know that being in an environment that you don't know is setting you up for something greater, because they say that your success does not lie in your comfort zone. It lies in a zone whereby you're not familiar with, which frustrates you, but in that frustration it's like a grooming stage. So where you've been, where you felt like you don't fit in, it was a setup where you have to stand out.
For a very long time, it didn't feel like a setup. It felt like a setup for a downfall. But interesting enough, today I'm realizing it was all a setup for a great comeback. God was setting me up to set me off. And today I enjoy privileges very few people will ever get to enjoy in this lifetime. And I'm not talking about money. No, I'm talking about being able to have doors open up for you that would otherwise require you to have a letter from the highest office in the world.
Wow.
Such spaces where you have, as a business in South Africa, not recognized, or you think it is not recognized. You know how we always think our work is not that big. And to have great companies, fifth biggest IT consulting company in India, saying, no, we want you, we want to work with you, we want a partnership with you, we trust you to deliver on some of the major projects that we have. And looking back and saying, all these environments are requiring me to interact with different cultures. And now I look back at that multi-layered, multicultural situations that I always found myself in. And I'm always being able to tap into, oh yes, I know this. Oh yes, I know how to handle myself around this environment or around this culture. And so forth and so on. But more importantly is learning how to work with different people of diverse backgrounds, and to be able to accommodate them and to inspire the best out of them. So that has been my fortunate part in my life, building up my business, YDD. Now we are in our 9th year. And when I set out to build YDD, I was working very comfortably as a software engineer for one of the big IT companies in South Africa called Net1 Applied Technologies. If you're familiar with the grants system that's been all over the news recently or in the last couple of months, CPS, Cash Payment Solutions or something like that. I was part of the company, and we were tasked with the responsibility of providing banking solutions to the unbanked. And if I felt very proud to have been part of a company that was also tasked with the responsibility of developing a system that would pay the grants of South Africa, and has been doing that successfully for years, until such a time where God said to me, all right, now that you have plied your trade in, assisting young people or building systems that would enable a lot of people to access grants, I need you now to leave this place to go and build a generation that will not need grants.
Because they depend on that. They depend so on that. What I've discovered in today's society, which is for me a little bit sad though, because they depend so on it that it doesn't activate them to go and do beyond their imagination, beyond their capabilities that is screaming within inside them. They are so depending on it that they don't even listen to the screaming inside them that wants to come out and say, hey, I am here, I want to do more, I want to give birth to something different, I am willing to stretch. But now you are cringing what's screaming inside because you are so comfortable on that. And I do believe that YDE was branched into a show as well on YFM.
Yeah,
I love that. Like I have to say, I was interviewed, I think about twice on that show, and it's an amazing platform, as Neo explained that it's an amazing platform for young people to expose their brands, to speak about them, because an opportunity, it's a platform for young people to literally, because if everyone hears YFM, they all go boom. But then the significance behind the content of YDE was amazing. So please tell us more about that, because I enjoyed being on that platform back then.
While I was working comfortably, by the way, very young, not worried about a lot of things. Money was the least of my problems. I was living the dream. I had quickly climbed up the corporate ladder. I was earning more than the average young South African was earning in those times. And man, I was the perfect example of what a black child should strive to be. At least, perhaps I thought. And one day on my way to the office, I had taken my car in for service, and I bought a newspaper. Now, it was the Star newspaper, and I paged through the paper reading. But you see, there's a section of the Star newspaper, like many other newspapers, that a lot of township black people or the less educated persons would care to read. That is the share prices section. I don't know how many people today, back in those days, I had not met a lot of people from townships or, from rural areas who would care to, they get to that section of the newspapers like, okay, the newspaper is done. So me, because of before that company, having worked for a company called Net1 Applied, not Net1, but before Net1, iNet Bridge, where, I was a programmer developing solutions and systems for investment houses and fund management companies to be able to decide what share prices to invest in, taking JSE feeds and producing the systems. So obviously, share prices and investment and stocks and stuff like that was a part of my work to have a look at that type of information. And I happened to page through that, and I saw an opportunity for young people targeting township kids or kids from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. It was a nice scholarship worth a lot of money with a guarantee of a job. And I thought to myself, how many of the targeted young people are actually going to see this advert? You think about it. I mean, number one, I doubt very much if their parents do buy the newspaper, that particular newspaper. And if they do, I doubt very much if they go and look at the boring numbers. Because that stuff looked boring to me at those times,
And literally those times, you didn't really much worry because the newspaper, we just check for the entertainment section.
Yeah, you were struggling to make to make ends meet, right? So what more now? Why am I going to check out share prices? And then over and above that, that opportunity would be lost. The right person wouldn't see it. And I started exploring how many more opportunities like this are just going unnoticed, and you find out late. So I said, let me create a central hub of opportunities. I verify these opportunities while I'm still working. This is a hobby. This is something I'll do on the side because I don't want to leave my cushy job. And I put that together, the content and so forth. And I said, all right, I'll have a website where I'll host all of this stuff.
Okay.
So that a young person doesn't have to go to multiple websites. So just go to this one website. And back in those days, there wasn't anybody else doing that.
Yes.
Nobody was sharing opportunities on social media. So
yes.
on Facebook, it was just post your status.
Yes, and that's about
what are you thinking? You understand? So I think at those times we were the first, if not the first, one of the first to start the movement or the habit of sharing opportunities that we'd come across. So I look for opportunities, that company, and I just share that information. I built this website, and where I put all of the information, I approached YFM and the CEO, Mr. Kenthan Pillay, whom I still have a very good relationship with to date. He's no longer with YFM, but we are working on a very interesting project launching at the end of this year. So that's going to be incredible. And, he gave me a chance. He said, come. Because having a website is not good enough. I knew that. Because it's like having a pamphlet, but nobody sees it.
But the fact that someone literally saw the potential in it.
Absolutely. And I said, we need a radio platform to tell people about the opportunities on which website? On the YDD website. So
it was beneficial for both sides.
Beneficial because for both sides. For YFM, they started looking good.
They started looking good because growing up with YFM is it's about music, it's entertainment straight. And for this segment to have it on their show was something different, something unique.
Nobody was doing this.
Nobody was doing it.
That's what I would say. Show of this nature,
especially on a show like YFM.
Yeah.
I mean, it was straight. It's still straight entertainment, but this section, to have this platform that you guys created, made YFM now stand out.
Yeah.
And that's why people would tune more onto, especially on Saturdays. So they're like, oh, okay, fine. YFM has taken a little bit of a different angle, which is fresh to us, which is fresh to young people, because it is young people
are worried about their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to get a job? I'm looking for a bursary. I'm looking for an internship.
So at the time, I believe the competition started mostly between the big radio stations, between YFM and other big radio stations, which are not allowed to mention, because now YFM has taken this section to innovate this, to take this into lead. to plant it and to just let it grow. And then what young person that listens to YFM, or not just YFM, but others that listen to other radio stations now tune into YFM and like, good morning, this is Nayo, you're right here on YFM show. This is what we do. We're talking about we're talking about lead, we're talking about innovation, we're doing, all of these type of things. I would run to their station too and advertise my thing. I would also just tune into it for the opportunities because it's a door that you guys has opened.
So now the twist that we threw in there.
Tell me about it.
The twist was, all right, what is the young person's biggest challenge? One of the big challenges is we are encouraging young people to go into entrepreneurship. And they go in with almost no budget. If they're lucky enough, they go in with like a shoestring budget.
Which is challenging.
Which is very challenging.
It is a challenging thing.
So marketing budget in their planning becomes the least thing that they accommodate. So I was like, man, imagine if we could grant, because look, on a platform like that, it would have cost you for 5 minutes interview between 9,000 to 8,000 rand.
Because of the airtime, like it's still in today.
Right? So I said, look, I brokered a deal with YFM. I said, I'd like to bring in young people that I find innovative, that I believe have a potential to come in on this platform, to come and talk about what they are doing in their business so that they can get even more exposure and market their business. And I said, I don't want to charge them a cent. I want them to have this for free. It's a leg up.
And the viewers increase.
And the viewers increase
on their side.
Today, those young people today, right, who nobody wanted to give a shot, nobody wanted to give an opportunity. Today, one of them made Forbes 30 under 30.
Okay.
And
I'm like seeing some few flash of them coming before.
One of them won the Big Break Legacy.
Yeah,
one of them made lead hero or lead hero of the month.
Of the month, yeah, the leadership one
is endless. And in those times, I was not charging any young person any amount. I was like, I'm going to give you this because we are pushing hard. And today, and I often asked myself, because at some point I had to quit my job to do this full time. And that was one of the most painful or the most, taxing periods of my life because there was no income.
Wow.
I had to.
And it's I mean, we know how it rolls. That's when the real, in an entrepreneurial.
Now you are forced to tap into spaces within you that you never even knew existed.
And it brings you to, it breaks you to a point where it makes you actually first humble. It humbles you first. Before anything else, you have to now it's like you're like this. Let me humble myself.
You, more than losing the material possessions, you lose people.
And that's the painful thing about entrepreneurship. I was saying to someone that actually last night when I was talking to her, she's in the beauty industry, and I said to her that when we grow, we outgrow people. When we in the space of entrepreneurial, you lose people because your boat needs to be light. You don't want to carry heavy.
That's true.
So because you need to make space for the new level, because who you're going to meet there is not going to be on the same level with the people that you think you can carry with. At the end of the day, you actually alone basically. You just have acquaintances. That's what I call more. I call acquaintances. We see. We don't see each other. We greet whatever great stuff. We talk business, and because at the end of the day, in today's growing of entrepreneur, you really are on the panel of just doing things on your own. But you've got acquaintances. You grow. You've got 3, 4, 5 brands, and you've got these people that you're running with. So with your experience, that literally I was in a workspace for about 6 years, on and off, and I couldn't understand why I'm getting just temp jobs. And until I had to now finally make the decision, I'm like, let me just take this.
To be deliberate about this.
Yes, and it humbles you.
It really does. Look, I'll be frank with you. It's a story for another day.
That calls around too for the show.
You know, it's a story for another day. I learned a lot of valuable lessons. I lost a great deal. I lost everything, you know. And at the same time, later I learned I lost everything that didn't matter and gained everything that mattered.
Wow.
You know.
So just a quick one to move forward as we close off shortly. The importance of innovation.
Now,
what can you can say to the next person, to our viewers, those who give them the importance of innovation, because that's what we're talking about. Because the reason why I brought in, because I know that there's a journey that you went through. So now you're in this space.
Yeah.
What are the let's speak to the entrepreneurs. Let's speak to those who want to get into this space. Where do they start?
You know, first, I'd like to dispel the idea that innovation has to always do with technology.
Okay.
Has to always do with artificial intelligence. Has to always do with robotics. Yes, it has everything to do with technology, but that's if you understand what technology means. You see, at some point, when there were no shoes, or whether there were no zippers, a zipper that you use, you know, to zip up your jacket, to zip up your pants. When that thing was first introduced, it was technology. Today, you don't look at that as technology.
Yes.
So also, your idea and your understanding of technology needs to be, you know, more broader and more clearer. Now you start talking to innovation, and why it is important for me to really just say, let's broaden innovation. Innovation is not you always integrating artificial intelligence, robotics, a social media app, and so forth.
Yes.
Innovation is looking and saying, what is there? Okay, I see that problem. Say, all right, fine. What is available for me to solve that problem?
Right.
It's 1 or 2 or 3 items.
Items,
but
yes.
those items were not designed
Yes.
for that problem.
Yes.
How can I manipulate those items to now start catering for that problem?
Yeah.
It's problem solving, you know. So innovation is a part or a process of problem solving.
Yes.
You know, the only thing is around innovation is you're not necessarily inventing something new.
Okay.
You're just inventing a new way of using the same old things to solve a problem.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So hence, and for me, that's where innovation, from looking at it from that perspective, it does make a big difference in my business, not only in my business, but also in my life.
Yes.
Companies, nowadays, you look at the likes of MTN, your mobile network service providers. For how long do you think they can continue making money out of selling airtime? Because very few people nowadays are making calls using traditional airtime.
Yes.
They are now making WhatsApp calls. And before you know it, there'll be Wi-Fi everywhere that I never need to buy airtime.
And they're going to lose out on it.
So as a mobile network service provider, if your primary means of revenue income within your business was the sale of airtime, do you see that your business in the long run, when Wi-Fi and internet access is no longer something people have to pay for, but they can get for free, there will be no need for people to transact with you for buying airtime to make a call. So as a business, now you need to go back and say, I need to innovate in order I can stay in business. If you don't innovate, you're not going to stay in business. And nobody is exempt from this. I don't care whether you're a small little businesses running at the corner, or you're a mega business like the likes of the network service providers I've mentioned. If you do not innovate, you're going to go out of business. period.
So they have to learn to be productive in what they do, but innovate in terms of being creative.
It has always happened from the dawn of time. Things have always been changing. Environments have always been changing. The only difference is that the speed at which it is happening today is more rapid than it was before. And this falls so well within, when we start talking about the evolutionary algorithm. Or natural selection. Natural selection or evolution is happening much, much more quicker.
Wow.
If you go and start looking at some of Charles Darwin's work and the studies that he was doing at the Galapagos Islands, it's not about proving whether man was a monkey before. It's about looking at how he was able to jot down evolution as it happens in environments and what affects it, what makes it tick in a particular way. And you've got to be able to predict the future, to be able to prepare for it today.
I believe that there's in your brand, you've got, I've checked your timelines and so forth, that there are to the young people, there's programs that you have for them on weekdays or weekends, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Please explain us more about those programs, because I believe there's a lot of give us in a brief of what are these programs that you have for young people, what are the benefits that they would get from this program, how impactful, because I know that it's sourceful, it will change their lives, because we are now in a point whereby we want our young people to be growing in their passion. We want people to grow in what they are chosen to do, in their purpose and discovering them. So I believe that any person that's listening to this show will be very interested in the programs that you're about to tell us now about. That's part of YD is, right?
Yeah.
It's brand, yes.
We've got several programs, but I think I will not mention all of them, but I will mention the most important ones,
yes,
which are driven by our 2023 goal.
Okay.
Our 2023 goal is very clear. We want to create 100,000 jobs by 2023.
Awesome.
Or not necessarily jobs, but we want to create 100,000. We want to create a means of earning an income for 100,000 young people in South Africa. Now you see, I'm specifically saying not jobs.
Jobs, yes.
Because jobs are not guaranteed. We don't know. But the one thing that is always guaranteed, there's always a problem to solve.
Yes.
There's always work to be done.
Yes.
It's just figuring out how to earn an income from doing that work.
Okay.
So we have tested that model, we've tried it out, and it works.
Wow.
So we will be rolling it out as of the end of this year. We will be taking a few young people, a couple of young people. We'll start it very small,
right,
but it's going to grow rapidly. And concurrently at the same time, our big goal also for 2023 is to create 100 digital millionaires. Right.
So in this program, they go through the process.
They go through training.
Training.
We will be training young people on artificial intelligence, robotics, cognitive automation, because we are in recognition of the fourth industrial revolution. Jobs are falling away.
They are, because everyone wants to do their own thing now.
Machines are taking over. Robots are taking over. You go to a McDonald's right now, a cashier is not going to serve you at a couple of McDonald's. You just go up to a kiosk, you tell the order that you want, you swipe there, it tells you your order will be ready at such and such time, and then you go to the counter to pick up your food. Or a waiter brings your food to you, but it's only a matter of time. There are already robots, mobile units that are able to deliver food to you. So how many cashiers' jobs will be going?
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? We are seeing this in this day and age. So we are going to shed a good 5 million jobs. However, at the same time, we are going to see a boom in new types of jobs. So in as much as jobs are falling away, a new type of job that requires a new type of skills set will be there. So we are running ahead of institutions and governments, and we are saying We are preparing youth today. So currently in our program, we are running our pilot program. It's in its second month right now.
Okay.
Where we are training young people on skills, AI, robotics, cognitive automation, and so forth, of skills of the present future.
Wow, Mr. Nayo, I hate to cut this short. This is a story for another day. This calls for round 2, because we are in the world in the cycle now. We, like you just explained, that everything is now going to be not handled by humans now. It's going to be handled by technology, and it's moving so fast that you don't know whether you're coming or going. So in closing off, I would like to thank you for coming on to Divine Women Empowerment Inspirational Talk right here on Global Conference Television. Is there any encouragement words that you would like to say to the entrepreneurs, and like we spoke about innovation, in that of terms of they now know that they need to move with the time, exactly ahead of time, and be creative about it, because everyday things do change. So those who are in the entrepreneurial environment, those who are now understanding now the importance of innovation, what is the most important advice in one sentence that you can give them?
The difference between where you want to be and where you are today is the things that you don't know.
There you have it, viewers. We've got Mr. Nayo. I am not even going to try and pronounce the surname, but I'm going to try and say it's wow. There we go. He's actually trying to help me on it. But yes, this has been a very inspirational talk about innovation, the importance of innovation, the importance of also about moving with time. Because in today's life, literally, we literally have now technology taking over. So I hope that you have listened well and you have learned from the show, learned from Nayo. He also has great groups that he has, and his programs basically, actually wanted to say, for young people. And that will prepare you also to get into entrepreneurial and to get into innovation and anything that you desire to do. Thank you so much for joining me, your host, Carolina Mutlari, right here on Divine Women Empowerment Inspirational Talk on our favorite channel, Global Conference Television. Until next time, remain blessed. Thank you.